Welcome to video number 3 in my journey to cover the entire stage lineup of Street Fighter 2. If you haven't seen the prior 2 videos on Cammy's and Fei Long's stage, I'll link it in the description below. One note, just to get the whole Balrog name thing out of the way, I know a lot of people call this character Boxer or M. Bison, but for the sake of my biases, I'm going to refer to this character as Balrog for the entirety of this video. Also, if you want to see the rest of the series, it would help me out a lot if you hit that subscribe button. So, with all of that out of the way, let's get into it. The first appearance of Balrog's stage is in Street Fighter 2: The World Warrior. It takes place on the Las Vegas Strip, specifically on Fremont Street. And really, Vegas is a place that needs a little introduction. On the surface, it's a beautiful and lavish city, but it didn't get the nickname Sin City for nothing, which is perfect on multiple levels for a character like Balrog. In real life, many famous boxing matches take place in Vegas, which fits Balrog's professional boxing career. On a character level, Vegas' Sin City reputation fits Balrog as well, as on the surface he's a renowned boxing champ, while simultaneously hiding the fact that he's a greedy Shadaloo lapdog for M. Bison. The disgraced boxing champ's whole personality is just him wanting to get the next big score. And what else represents that better than his very own stage in Sin City? Background aside, the stage itself opens up with an explosion of detail and color. The first thing that draws the eye is a huge sign with the words Golden Nugget Nin Nin Hall. This is a reference to the resort by the same name, the Golden Nugget, which opened its doors in 1946. However, if we look at current photos of the Golden Nugget, they don't look anything like the Street Fighter stage. This is because the real-life Golden Nugget Resort has been renovated many times over the years, and this sign seems to be based off of the original Golden Nugget facade, which lasted until the late 1970s. Underneath the name of the resort, we also see the words Nin Nin Hall. Nin Nin could be a reference to the sound that ninjas traditionally make when doing their magic. Or it could be because Nin is the nickname of Akira Nishitani, who was the co-designer for Street Fighter 2. Below, we see a slightly obscured sign that says Capcom. There's a sign that says Golden Goose, and separately from that, signs that say Wedding Chapel bunched together and repeated in what appears to be an abstract collage. In real life, we do see that chaotic signage happening in these older photos of the Golden Nugget, though they're not quite floating in mid-air like they are on stage. Moving forward a bit, there's even more signage with neon green and purple abstract signs and green casino signs. There's also the 2 showgirls walking back and forth holding magician wands that turn into flowers, and hats that contain doves. Another main feature of this stage is the Las Vegas carpet, which is present in all Balrog stages. In this particular version, the carpet is rolled out in the middle of a street, and you can actually see crosswalk paint underneath the carpet, leading to a pair of cars. I think these cars are Rolls-Royce, but I'm no expert, so if you do know, please leave a comment. In terms of the people, there's a decent-sized crowd watching the fight, and some of them have unique animations or reactions when you win. This guy has a mic and looks like he's narrating the fight to the crowd. Then there's the guy in the middle who I think cries when you win, maybe he lost a bet or something. This guy wearing a hat tosses confetti when you win. Then there are others who just shake their heads. Overall, just a ton of interesting details and animations here. As for the song, you have that classic Balrog theme, and it doesn't get more iconic than this. The song is energetic, with interesting flourishes, counter melodies, and synth. I think it does a great job of capturing the energy of Las Vegas, like something I'd hear at a casino or a magic show. It's a very lively song that I'll be discussing a lot in this video. Skipping forward a bit, Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition looks very similar with a few notable differences. First of all, the carpet is purple, you also have the signs on the left and right that are green and blue, and finally, the stars in the background are blue as well. Moving on, next is Street Fighter 2: The World Warrior for the SNES. When Street Fighter 2 was ported to the Super Nintendo, Capcom made some changes between this version and the arcade version, likely because Nintendo wanted to keep things more in line with their family-friendly reputation. In terms of differences, in the SNES port, the Wedding Chapel sign is gone. Secondly, the 2 showgirls are on separate sides and wearing one-pieces instead of bikinis. And, for whatever reason, they aren't carrying their flower wands. Furthermore, the Capcom sign in the background that was slightly obscured before is now a lot more visible. The color palette is also changed, with a lot more blues in the crowd, perhaps because the SNES could only have a certain number of colors on screen at once. Finally, there's also some audience members who have been switched around, and this guy holding a mic who I always thought was wearing a gas mask for some reason. The song here is a little bit more mellow than the original, and the sounds of the trombone and brass come through more clearly in the accompaniment. It's still energetic and bold, but a bit softer than before. The SNES was able to do some great things with its sound chip and captures the spirit of the original song excellently. Spiraling down the rabbit hole of Street Fighter 2 stages, next we have the Game Boy version of Las Vegas. Due to the Game Boy's extremely limited color palette of 2, we don't get to see the full glitz and glamour of Vegas in color. However, I do still get the impression that this is a casino and you're on the Las Vegas Strip. That aside, I like the white stars and sparkles of the Game Boy stage, which are a nice way of showing that glitz and glamour without the animation. In addition, most of the signs are gone except for the one saying casino, again probably to save on space. In terms of music, Balrog's theme here is not bad, and I like the higher tempo 8-bit sound. The faster speed lends it a more frantic and upbeat vibe. Next, as we continue to regress further and further in graphics, we have the Master System version of Street Fighter 2. And I have to say that this one is pretty dang weird. It's kind of like you're in a fever dream, or almost like you're in one of those wacky mirror houses. You obviously have a lot of elements that are different from the original, and the background no longer moves. Also, the crowd consists of only this one guy mirrored and repeated over and over. The crowd is just blank-eyed and soulless. Combined with the heavy use of red and black colors, I feel like we're really in the ninth circle of hell here. Now, I know I'm being really negative here, so the one positive thing I can think of is that this stage does still say Las Vegas on the floor, so I can confirm that it is in fact still Las Vegas. Okay, I lied. The one other positive thing I like is the song. It's more abstract sounding, with some echo effects and a slightly remixed opening and melody. You are missing that bass sound in the background, but overall I still like this 8-bit sound. A very different stage compared to what we've seen so far, and honestly, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This is the first time I think I've ever talked about an objectively terrible stage on this channel. The Master System did have its limitations, and it does do certain Street Fighter stages well, but I really feel like they should have left this one on the cutting room floor. Alright, so now we get to talk about the first Street Fighter game I ever played, Super Street Fighter 2: The New Challengers. While it's still a variation on the original Street Fighter 2 Las Vegas stage, it's actually quite revamped, so there's plenty to analyze here. Right off the bat, the people in the center of the stage are completely different, with a man in a yellow suit throwing confetti and a man wearing a purple tracksuit. In addition, the people in the crowd are almost whited out in order to create this contrast between the foreground and background. You also have these Bentley-looking cars and a ton of flashing colors with the casino and Nin Nin Hall signs. In terms of music, this song is very similar to the original, but redone with some better quality instrumentation. You still have that slightly 8-bit sound, but it's more complex with the flourishes, and I think overall it does a better job of highlighting that chaotic energy of Vegas. This stage feels more energetic and dynamic with increased animations, colors, and layered music. It feels more glitzy and glamorous and in line with what Las Vegas represents to me. And on a bit of a side note, a slightly faster version of this stage is in Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Now let's get into Turbo HD Remix. This version has revamped the Las Vegas stage with totally new assets. The Golden Nugget sign has been changed to Crazy Buffalo, where Crazy Buffalo is a reference to Balrog's special move. This might have been done to avoid potential legal action from the real-life Golden Nugget Resort. To the right of that sign, the Golden Goose sign is also changed and now says Golden Wheel. There's also the addition of a self-referential Capcom building on the left, which is a little cheeky touch. In addition, you still have the casino signs on both ends of the stage, but with added palm trees and huge neon dollar signs. That more showy ambiance is further emphasized by the luxury cars, which I think are an Escalade and Lamborghini, but again, not a huge car person, so I could be totally wrong here. Another difference includes only having one showgirl instead of the usual two. The showgirl also doesn't stop if you win and just keeps walking back and forth, occasionally taking off her hat and waving around some flowers. Another difference is that the crowd is less animated than before, and they no longer celebrate with you when you win. And I know I've mentioned this fact before in other videos, and I feel like every time I'm always complaining about the reduced frames and limited animations. Except this time, I finally have an answer as to why this was done in HD Remix. On the Capcom digital blog, producer Ray Jimenez describes why. Full disclosure, this digital blog webpage is no longer available, and I had to find it using the Wayback Machine. So who knows if it's accurate or not. In his own words,
as you can see, we've updated the cars and some elements of the stage. Some of the people will animate in the game, but as you may have noticed, there aren't as many people on the screen as they were in the original. Being that this is a download title, we have to find ways to minimize the download size. One of the ways we come up is to subtly cut down on the amount of animation in the background. This will only be apparent in some stages. Yes, I know some of you are thinking it, but this unfortunately means we will not be giving them extra frames.
The stage aside, the music is similarly revamped with more of a smooth jazz sound, and I really enjoy the syncopated sax solo and instrumentation of this theme. It has more of a slick vibe that I would associate with a luxury bar or high-class lounge. Overall, I think that the added details, greater focus on certain elements like the cars, and revamped music gives the stage more of an upscale vibe compared to the original. To me, this stage represents the VIP experience you can get if you have a bunch of money to spend at these casinos. Alright, so now we can finally talk about a stage that isn't just more of the same, a different Balrog stage. This version of Las Vegas is modeled after the Fremont Street Experience, which is a pedestrian mall that opened in 1995. It's home to many different shops, hotels, and casinos, which includes the Golden Nugget. To put it into perspective, basically we've moved from one side of the casino to the other that faces the inside of the mall. But despite only moving a little bit, the differences here are quite large and there's a lot to talk about. As always, you have that classic Las Vegas lettering on the floor, but a slight difference is that this is more of a tile versus the normal carpet. You still have the showgirls, but there are 3 of them instead of 2, with 2 of them wearing purple and 1 of them wearing blue. They walk back and forth and occasionally take off their hats and release doves. And speaking of doves, when you win the whole match, a bunch of them magically appear from both sides of the stage, not from the showgirls' hats like they have before. In fact, the showgirls don't really react to you winning at all. Another main feature of this stage are the gigantic signs. You've got the dance and 777 or jackpot signs on the left. There's also these huge signs to the right with lettering that I can't really make out, but they look very aesthetic. The purple and yellow facade here on the right might also be from the Four Queens Casino. There's also the cowboy neon sign here, which is based off of Vegas Vic, who was the mascot character for the now defunct Pioneer Club Casino. The casino location has been replaced by a weed shop, an ABC convenience store, and a souvenir shop. Vegas Vic isn't the only cowboy in town though. In fact, he belongs to a whole family of cowboys scattered throughout Nevada. This includes River Rick, who is at the Pioneer Hotel and Gambling Hall in Laughlin, Nevada. There's also Wendover Will, who stands out in front of the State Line Casino in West Wendover, Nevada. However, we are missing one major member from the cowboy family. On the right, there's a Bunny Girl sign, and I believe that this is based off of Vegas Vicky / Sassy Sally, a cowgirl on the Fremont Street Experience. This bunny girl is in the same pose, which leads me to believe that this was originally either meant to be Vegas Vicky or maybe just based off of her. Who knows? However, in 2017, she was removed from her original location on the main street and currently resides inside the Circa Casino. Besides all of the signs, you can also see a flashing light show on the ceiling. This is based off of the Viva Vision light show inside of the Fremont Street Experience. There's also this ball with a casino sign moving up and down with 2 spotlights on both sides. From what I could find, this doesn't exist in real life, but maybe I'm missing something here. And finally, as a quick side note, this stage is only playable in the home console release. As for the music, this game as a whole doesn't use remixes of past character songs. Instead, it has a unique song called Untamable Fists. I like the synth repetition in the melody and the accompaniment that lends this song a sense of grit. You also have the layers of different percussion, which adds some variety to that more repetitive backtrack. This song gives me a sense of Balrog's personality and determination, and I appreciate the willingness to deviate from the usual theme here. I don't know if it's just because the stage is different, but it really is so nice to look at something other than the Street Fighter 2 version of Las Vegas. After all, there's so much more to the city than just the Golden Nugget, and I think that the stage does an excellent job of featuring other famous sites. Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo Revival for the Game Boy Advance took a bunch of assets from Alpha 3 Max and put them in this recreated version of the Fremont Street experience. Basically, they took a lot of the signage from Alpha 3 and then zoomed all the way in. For example, the sign with the O's on them are present in both stages, but much bigger and mirrored in Turbo Revival. You can also see the Bunny Girl sign next to the purple and yellow facade from before. However, there are some differences, such as the people in the crowd and the lack of showgirls. Overall, I think that the previous version of Fremont Street was definitely better because I prefer the more zoomed out look. I'm not sure exactly why this was done, but my theory is that this was in order to make the characters stand out more from the background, since the game would be played on a small Game Boy Advance screen. However, due to this zooming effect, I wouldn't have known where this was supposed to be had I not played Alpha 3 Max. Without that context, it looks really weird, like some sort of circus tent. Now, that's not to say that this stage is bad, but I just wish they would have executed it a bit differently. And finally, full circle moment here. Just when you thought we were done with the Street Fighter 2 version, we get to talk about it one last time because we just can't escape the shadow of Street Fighter 2's popularity. Now in Street Fighter V as DLC, Balrog's stage, called High Roller Casino, takes place at 10 p.m. in clear weather on a mild 74-degree night. Golden Nugget Ninden Hall has been renamed to the Golden Bullion Shadaloo Hall, perhaps to avoid copyright issues. Another thought I had is that perhaps this place could have been a front for Shadaloo all along, but who knows. The tone of the stage is what I would describe as grounded glamour, with lots of added detail and color to make it 1. Seem more like the actual strip, and 2. Give it a more luxurious vibe. For example, you can see actual buildings in the background now instead of repeating wedding chapel signs, which makes it less abstract to me. There's also these pillars shooting out flames from the sides of the casino, which is pretty dang extra and really adds to that very glamorous, over-the-top vibe. Continuing with that added Las Vegas inspiration, there's the addition of several hotels and a mall. You also have a Ferris wheel, which is probably based off the High Roller Ferris wheel located in the Link Hotel. High Roller Casino, High Roller Ferris wheel, the devs weren't exactly trying to be subtle here. Also right in front of the Ferris wheel is a Welcome Restaurant and Bar Las Vegas sign, which is a reference to the famous real-life Welcome to Las Vegas sign. Further to the right, there's the Vegas Vic sign again, with words underneath that say Western Club Gambling. On the sides, you have 2 casino signs, which are blocking 2 other red signs that have the word jackpot on them with a little bag of money. Your characters are also on a red carpet here instead of the usual blue or purple color. I personally really like the idea of switching out the color here, since I think it gives this impression of your characters being the VIPs in some sort of spontaneous exhibition match. Above your characters' heads, you can also see that they're underneath some sort of arch. And on the front side of the arch, there's also a pair of pink and green neon signs with 2 girls on them. Now, switching gears a little bit, let's talk about the crowd. First, you have the 2 showgirls wearing one-pieces and leggings, walking back and forth in front of a limo. There's a Rolls-Royce looking car on the left side next to a man named Max. And at this point, you might be asking, who is Max? He's this guy. Next to Max is Don Savage, who appears not only in this stage but in several others, as well as an announcer and Zangief's character story. Don Savage is probably based off of Jimmy Hart, a famous wrestling personality. Other than those characters, you have a bunch of repeating NPCs in the background who will react after a hard knockdown by dropping things or acting surprised. They'll also cheer when you win as the showgirls lift their hats, revealing a single white dove. In this stage, Balrog actually has 2 musical themes, a stage version and a character version. The stage version is called High Roller Casino and is your usual stage mix, though you have a lot of updated instrumentation and synth, as well as those small flourishes. Definitely sounds like a song that I dance to at a rave. The character theme, on the other hand, called Theme of Balrog, is extremely different. It almost sounds like something I hear during the climax of Balrog's own feature movie. You hear that brass, the sound of sirens, and then some electro mumble. The main stage theme kicks in and then repeats with an added guitar riff in the background. It just keeps on overlapping different musical instruments like piano and vocals. It's by far my favorite song that we've talked about in this video so far. Overall, I think that this is the definitive version of Balrog's stage for me. All of the details add a heightened sense of realism and luxury for me, like you can go out and walk down the street, ride the Ferris wheel, eat, or go out or go shopping. It encapsulates more attractions in the city than any other version before it. And that's why people come to Vegas, to see everything that it has to offer. Yes, the gambling is a main attraction, but it's also about the food, the clubs, and the theme park rides. There's really something for everyone, and that's why I really love Vegas. And no, I'm not sponsored by the Vegas tourism industry, I just really like going there. Despite some tweaks and changes along the way, Balrog stage has always exuded this colorful and iconic Capcom charm, and his Las Vegas stages really capture the vibrant atmosphere that it's known for. This stage is a fantastic advertisement for the city, and it's little wonder why. The energy, the vibes, and the music are all top-notch. Thank you guys so much for watching. While you're waiting for the next video, why not check out some of my previous Street Fighter videos? Either way, thanks again, and I'll see y'all next time.